Welcome to another edition of the Postgame Wrap. I'm Jarret Johnson, and no, I am not in Manhattan, Kansas, but I thought I'd still go ahead and do another video for you all, just kind of wrapping up things. I was at the press conference virtually via Zoom after Texas Tech's 31-21 loss to Kansas State. Like I said, there in Manhattan. It's a tough loss. Another one. Obviously the one against Texas was a heartbreaker, and this one was it was different. There's so much drama happened. First off, Alan Bowman going down with the injury. Skylar Thompson for Kansas State, their starting quarterback, went down as well. Within that play, Rico Jeffers was ejected for targeting, so he'll miss the first half next week against Iowa State in Ames, which is tough because really in the first half, Texas Tech, in the first quarter, they lost Alan Bowman, their leader, basically, their quarterback. And then the second quarter, they lost their senior linebacker, captain, leader, Enrico Jeffers. So that was tough. But Kansas State was dealing with their own losses, like I said, Thompson. And what's funny is that Henry Colombi came in, and he played very well. He threw for over 200 yards, threw a couple scores, had that interception in the fourth quarter, which was costly. Once again, a costly turnover for the Red Raiders. But I'm not surprised, and I think most of you Texas Tech fans aren't surprised either. There's always something. It's always a list of mistakes of woulda, coulda, shoulda. I had Texas Tech winning this game 34-31, and really some special teams mistakes, in my opinion, kept that from happening. I mean, you missed. First off, you had a punt blocked again. That's 2 weeks in a row you've had a punt block. There's no excuse for that. That cannot happen. Now, Kansas State's very good at special teams, but still, again, you've played 2 Big 12 games and you've had 2 punts blocked. I mean, that's going to get you beat. That's how thin the margin is between victory and defeat. And that set up Kansas State's first score, and that was costly. Trey Wolff, who was borderline All-American, All Big 12 kicker last year, he made over 90% of his kicks. He missed, I think, a 46-yarder or something like that, a 44-yarder, something like that, which, okay, that's going to happen. But then he missed a chip shot off the upright. So he's now 0 for 3 on kicks this year. So that's a problem. It cost you points. I mean, the block punt gave Kansas State great field position. So that's 7 points. Who knows if they score or not, but still, I mean, you basically gifted them great field position. And then 6 points coming off the board with those 2 missed kicks. And Tech's not good enough to be able to overcome those kind of mistakes, especially in special teams. I thought, the highlights, you'd have to say, would be the running game, especially Xavier White coming in, them running some zone, basically right up the gut. The interior of that offensive line really moved Kansas State around. They had something going there. And then they were working play action off of that with Colombi, who had great rhythm with his receivers. And I felt like did a really good job for the most part. But, well, I want to commend the team. They were down 14-0. First time in 9 seasons that Tech hasn't scored, in the first half. But you come back. You come roaring back. You take a 21-17 lead in the fourth quarter. And honestly, again, that's when it all fell apart. You had you give up it was a terrible play by Eric Monroe. And I normally don't just say this, but I mean, a terrible lack of effort on that tackle. It just made me sick as a football fan. He went for the punch out from behind on Kansas State's tight end, who just rumbled down the sideline. I mean, he could have, all he had to do was wrap up. The guy's going out of bounds. It's right on the sidelines. Instead, it's a 66-yard, long, catch and run that set up a big time score for them to retake the lead. And then Columbia throws that interception. So here we go, fourth quarter, late game mistake on third down, deep in Kansas State territory. And then, look, what's crazy though is that Texas Tech's defense rose up and got a 3-and-out. You get the ball back on offense. Tech gets to 4th down and 3. Columbia scrambles, which, man, it was nice to see a quarterback who can run. Let's just be honest. I mean, he did some things with his legs. But there was an egregious holding on Ethan Card, and it was holding. Now, fans are angry, and they're angry on the site about the flags that were called, the way the game was reffed. And I understand some of those targeting. I don't understand how Rico's was targeting and some by that safety who had at least a couple targeting penalties. how that wasn't. I don't understand that rule. I don't like that rule in general, and I don't understand how they called it in this game. So I get it. I get why people were frustrated. But that hold on Carr, that was a hold. I mean, that was like the definition of a hold. It was a terrible time to call it. 4th and 3. You know, instead of moving the chains, going in for potentially the game-winning score, it's goes back to 4th and 13, and there's no decision there. You have to punt. It's midfield. There's still no time on the clock. You have timeouts. But then the defense, they couldn't step up again. They did the possession before. They couldn't do it 2 possessions in a row. They got down like 3rd and 4. They gave up a 70-yard touchdown pass to Deuce Vaughn, who was spectacular. I mean, he was the star of the game, both as a receiver and as a rusher. He was better than advertised. You got to tip the cap to him. If Kansas State had an advantage, it was the fact that they didn't turn the ball over, they didn't make very many mistakes, and then they had Deuce Vaughn. So, hats off to them and him for those plays. But there's a theme here, whether it's the coaches or the players or whatever. It's Groundhog Day again. Tech's right there has an opportunity to win the game, and they make too many mistakes, and it costs them. So we'll have to see, what happens moving forward. They play Iowa State next week. Texas Tech falls to 1-2 now, 0-2 in the Big 12. They play Iowa State in Ames, which, I mean, Tech has lost several games to Iowa State, and I think Matt Campbell's 4-0, I believe. He's undefeated against Tech so far. So it's going to be another challenge for Texas Tech next week. Doesn't get any easier. So we'll have to see what they come up with, if they're able to bounce back or what happens with this team, because they need a W in the worst way. But with that, I want to thank you for watching, and until next time.